Hello, Grumpy Old Fart here. I have a guest, my son, Arcane
Today.
Gaming, and we were talking earlier about Recon, the role-playing game, and we were talking about how in the game you don't always want to do combat battle, that kind of thing. You want to mix it up a little bit, makes it a little more diversity, maybe a little more interesting. It's not always the same thing over and over and over. I mean, there's only so many times you can go up and blow up something, go assassinate somebody, you know. One of the things that I enjoy doing in a recon game, and I've done this a couple of times with past groups, is there's a secret society or an evil empire that is threatening to do something really bad, global domination, terrorism, something. And so my son and I were talking about that, and he told me that there's in his group that he talks with, or in the this topic that he covers on his channel, SCP. There's a number of these secret groups, so I figured I'd let him tell you about them. Go ahead.
Okay, so we discussed the SCP Foundation. You kind of know what they're about. They're the mysterious government organization who is doing bad things for the good reasons, sort of. Yeah. Anyways, now I'm going to move over to another one of the groups, the GOC, or Global Occult Coalition.
GOC or GCC?
GOC.
Okay.
Global Occult.
Oh, Global Occult
Coalition,
cool.
yes.
Okay.
They are they consider themselves a paranormal army. They take and find these anomalous people or objects and stuff and insist on destroying and or terminating it.
So they're just out to eliminate them.
Yeah. You could do something weird?
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah. They have to confirm it first thought. Yeah.
I mean, I can see if they're doing something bad, then you want to stop them, but
they just want to do it to everything, every anomalous.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That would be an evil group that your team in Recon could go and try to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any others?
Yes. One that particularly comes to mind, the Chaos Insurgency, one of my favorites.
What do they do?
They were an actual branch of the SCP Foundation once. Selected by the O5 Council, the leader of the SCP Foundation, to do the messier work that they didn't want to have their name associated with, but so they could pin it on someone else. Basically.
How do you get messier than the SCP? I don't know. But hey.
So eventually this faction just defected. Yeah.
Oh, they left?
Yeah. And they are okay. And they actually try to thwart the SCP Foundation. They're kind of enemies.
Oh, so they broke away and they're at odds. I see.
Yeah.
Well, that's something to consider.
These people, they actually use the SCPs. They actually use the SCPs like the SCP Foundation, except their whole goal is to destroy the SCP Foundation.
So they're using SCPs against the SCP Foundation.
Basically.
I see. Okay.
There's another one, and this one really isn't evil. It's the Serpent's Hand. They are more for rescuing SCPs and helping them, but back to the actual evil empire.
Well, that would be something you might want to run them against and have them run into.
Yeah.
Maybe a parallel agents working on the same case kind of thing. But other things that you can run them into besides the SCP groups is there's always secret societies out there like the Illuminati or whatever, and you can run your group up against people who want to rule the world, people who want to, or you could just make it standard criminal organizations. For example, drug cartels, terrorist organizations, evil corporations, that kind of thing. But the point being, there's a plethora of things you can run a recon team up against, and it not be just your standard, hunter-killer type thing, or, now, of course, you'd have to wait until you get to another mercenary section, because if you're still in Vietnam, you're still in Vietnam.
Yeah.
You can even update it to modern times if you wanted, but you need to do some research into the weaponry, because I don't think the ultra-modern weaponry are in recon. However, like I said, it doesn't take much work. And when it comes to role playing games, if you're running a game and you want to make it not so mundane, the sky's the limit. All you got to do is use the old noggin,
That reminds
figure it
me.
out.
That reminds me. There is one more group actually.
Hmm.
This is actually a whole group that's not mentioned very much inside the SCP universe, but it is there, and actually holds some pretty significant lore ties. This is called the Children of the Scarlet King.
Okay.
It is a
Rather a flowery name, if nothing else.
not particularly. So the Scarlet King is an SCP who is a literal god,
Okay.
an evil god, nonetheless,
Okay.
who seeks nothing but to bring destruction and flames upon the earth.
Yeah, that might be something you want to run your team against. No parallel
Yeah.
agents there.
He actually, and he had his, and he took he had his 7 children, and each of them would give birth to horrible monstrosities that would help him destroy the world one day.
Okay.
One of them is rumored to be SCP-682, which is the hard to destroy reptile, which is he can't die. It's a
Okay.
massive sentient reptile that can talk and cannot die.
Well, if it can't die, that leaves you trapping it or
Mm-hmm.
turning it. So, turning it into a good guy.
Yeah.
There's always, even if somebody can't die, there's always a way to beat them.
Oh, yes.
It's just a matter of a little brain work there.
I'm not sure if you've told the story on your channel or not, but he drowned an invulnerable man in concrete once.
Yes, I told that story.
Nice.
More than one way to skin a cat. But yeah, there's tons of things you can run your group against, and it doesn't have to be monsters. You could always run them against secret organizations, secret societies, the evil empire, so to speak. James Bond had Spectre was one, and there was another one, Smersh, I think it was called. So it's fairly common. But at any rate, when you're coming up with ideas for Recon, literally the sky's the limit, and it's so modifiable you can put anything in there. So if you're going to run a tabletop role-playing game and you pick Recon, amen. But again, after a while, the same old missions get kind of boring. So think about spicing it up a little bit. There's no harm in it. And if you want to make a game that's all monsters and all evil empires, you can do that. No harm in it. I don't recommend you mixing standard Recon with these paranormal ones. Like I said, I talked about that in that other video, because as soon as one of your players gets proof that Bigfoot is real, he's going to be all over the evening news, and nobody's going to be able to stop him. It kind of ruins the rest of it.
Yes, they will.
Yeah.
The SCP Foundation certainly will.
Yeah, they'll be all over him too. At any rate, this is Grumpy Old Fart
Arcane Gaming.
signing off. You
Please
folks have a good day.
Please check out this series on my channel. Warning, it's some dark content.
Okay. You folks have a good day. God bless one and all.